All right. Getting a late landing is probably not a good thing right now. Holy shoot. Where'd you even come from? He doesn't want to be my friend. There's his buddy. Bruh. GG. Yo, what's up, Dawson? How the freak are you? How are you doing? Good. Good. Oh. Oh. I Show Speed and Kai Cenat are playing Fortnite OG ranked. I'm assuming they're gonna be on. What servers are they on? I want to get into their game. I Show Speed and Kai Cenat. Not to stream snipe or anything, just because I want to get into the same game. Can you add me? You can add me. My user is the same thing as my Epic. My Epic's the same thing as my YouTube. Sure, I'm just gonna guess that they're from. Wait, where are they from? That's a good question. So it says one lives in Ohio, the other one lives in New York. That would be NA East, or maybe NA Central. I'm already on NA East. Did you send me that friend request? Oh my lord. Oh my lord. You said it was Dawson or Daw something? What did you say it was? Uh, Dawes 114? I'm not seeing one. You can just add me, bro. It's the same thing as my YouTube name. Not that dude XDYT, not that dude XD123. It's just the same exact thing as my YouTube. Super easy to add me. I'm still trying to fix these settings on the stream, so I'm not trying to do two things at once. You did? Well, then which one are you? Because you said it's Dawes123. I don't see no Dawes123 in here. Would you pop up as a different name? What's your epic? Oh, it's this one. Prominent Elk. See, it's not Dawes114 now, is it? I wouldn't have even been able to find you, I don't think. Yesterday I lifted an elephant. Have you ever lifted an elephant? TJ. Secret TJ. Are you in the chat? Rapscallion? Noise. Noise. Sheesh. That's you, Heartless? You keep changing your name, bro. How could you be so heartless? You like my fit? Is it too late now to say sorry? Who switched it? I only play with unreal people on here. You gotta be unreal. That's not true. I play with everyone. I just don't feel like doing reload on my first match. I haven't played yet. He probably just wanted to see my rank. He switched just to see it. He probably wanted to show that he was champion. That's probably what it is. He's like, he wanted to show off that he's champion. And then, yeah. Bam, 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 bam. That's the marshmallow one, right? How's that not copyrighted? Dance for me, dance for me, dance for me. Ow, ow. Guys, should we try stream sniping Kai Sinat and iShow Speed? Guys. Should we do it? Unironically, they're playing the same thing as this. I just don't know if they're in the middle of the game or not. I remember seeing that they were streaming on Fortnite playing ranked, but I didn't really tune into it or anything. I didn't click on it. They probably blocking their screens just to make sure that people can't stream snipe low key, so that would be kind of hard. Want to know what else is hard? Life. Life is hard. Well, can we find out if they're even in a game right now? Because if they're in a game currently, then chances are there'd be like 0% chance of getting into their game. Where are we dropping? It's not even the right map. It's Fortnite OG quests, but then you click on it and gives the chapter 6 map. That's dumb. Alright, so we could try stream sniping them. I don't know what rank they are though. I don't really want to necessarily stream snipe, I just want to get into the same game. I'm not trying to get banned. Like if I manage to get into the same game, I'm just gonna turn off the stream, that way I could just play the game normally. Hope to encounter them. That'd be cool. He wearing the Ronaldo. They're mid game ready up. Nah, that's like end game. That's end game. There's 38 people left. I mean, we could go hot drop. Let's go hot drop. We could play one. That way you guys get a rank. Because right now we'd be playing an unranked match anyways, so we should get you guys a rank. That way we have a better chance. If any chance. We have a chance. To be honest, I have no idea what servers they playing on, so I don't even know if we're gonna be in the right servers. Like the right region. I have no clue. But yeah, let's go hot drop somewhere that we have a high chance of not making it out of. They're pushing tilted, so they might just get eliminated right here. He's gonna have a lot of people trying to stream snipe him. Between him and Kaisenat. Just makes our chances so small of getting into the game with them. Yo, the gamer. The gamer. What is going on, my bro? You like my fit? Let's go. Yo, I didn't even know that like Mexico and America had like a war at one point. I had to like educate myself. Well, I knew of it, I just didn't really know of it, if that makes sense. From what I've seen in my research, Texas used to be part of Mexico. That's crazy. Like, so much of America basically used to be Mexico. Get shot on. Get absolutely get shot on. Shot on. Nope. So was California, Arizona, New Mexico, Los Angeles, all that. It's crazy. I was like, what? Like, I didn't know the extent of it, you know what I mean? Like, sheesh. History, you gotta love it. There's certain things they just don't really teach you in school, I guess. Like certain parts of history they just leave out. Or maybe I just didn't, you know, I never went to college, so maybe I just, you know, if I would have taken a history course in college, I'm sure I would have known a lot more than what they gave me in the public school system. Yeah, but they want to say that we are entering their territory. That's what I'm saying. It's like, when you think about it from that perspective, now that I've like educated myself on the topic, like what the heck? Like the main issues at the borders is basically where it used to be Mexican land anyways. They just want to be back in their homeland. Can you blame them? But that's not how it's being made to look, though. With the narratives that are being pushed and stuff. Trump's agenda. Because from Trump's perspective, they should have annexed the whole thing back then. He's not going to go out and say that, probably, but, you know. I don't love what Trump's doing. There's some things that I can, like, agree with to an extent, but then it's like, I don't think that there's one thing that he's doing that doesn't cause controversy. He's a businessman, not a politician. Yeah, I mean, a crooked businessman. 'Cause aren't they all? America is ran and fueled off greed. It's the sad truth. The sad truth. You can't handle the truth. America was built on the backs of quote unquote immigrants and slaves. If you look up, or at least last I checked when I googled it, if you look up where has caused the most war crimes in the world, America's #1. Bro, they both ditched me to play duos. How could you be so heartless? How could you be so heartless? No, you can't say sorry. That's my thing. I'm Canadian. You can't take that from me. I've been pissing off a lot of people. I just go into news, like things on YouTube, like I go into the news section, and then I'll go into the most recent videos, and then I'll just comment, Canada will not fall. And then it gets like so many likes and a bunch of comments. People are like, bro, look at the government. Canada's already falling. Blah blah blah. Look at this. Look at that. It's already falling. It's like, yeah, okay. Our government can fall. Our economy can fall. You know, our military could fall, but Canada, the Canadians, will never fall. Will never fall. Trump's getting rid of any opposition, basically. All the people that would vote against what he's saying, he's just getting rid of them. He's like, oh, you got a problem with it? Nope, you're gone. You know what I mean? He's he's too ruthless when it comes to politics. I don't think he understands, like, he might have like a certain degree of understanding of American politics, but global politics is a whole different story. Bro, I love how you just got me ranting. I'm ranting. Alright, I'm gonna stop trying to stream snipe Aisha's speed and just hope that I coincidentally get into their game. I don't like news and politics and stuff. I usually don't follow that kind of shit because it's just all bullshit, but because of all the bullshit that's happening right now, I'm almost forced to, like, pay attention. If that makes sense. PC power supply blew up. Damn. You want to hear a funny story? I tried Chat GPT for the first time ever, and the first question I asked was a super controversial question that I obviously don't believe in. But I asked Chat GPT, I asked it, is Trump in any way like Hitler? Question mark. And it responded with saying, suspicious activity has been detected from this device, and it wouldn't let me do anything else. First experience with Chat GPT. So I already don't like AI. I don't like it. America wants to be like the capital of AI, of the AI industry. It's not like I wanted the AI to agree with me and be like, yes, he's just like they're the exact same. No, I just wanted, like, the AI to not break on me. Like, tell me why he's not, and tell me, you know, all the differences. And has Chloe been in chat? Not in a little bit. I think on my, no, I was gonna say on my birthday, she said happy birthday, but that was in the chat on Discord. so not in a little while. It's been at least a month. I want to say maybe around Christmas was the last time that she was in here. Around then, maybe? I can't cancel that? Oh my god. I had to leap jump. Yeah, that was probably one of the most controversial things that have happened inside the community with who was the other one? I remember that you were into her and then she was also into like someone else. Conflicting interests. Was it Jack? I don't remember that well. But yeah, controversy. Ooh. Ooh, controversy. He backed out. Requested to follow you on Insta recently? Ah. Maybe she wants to have a second chance at that or something. Oh, to gamer, yesterday I lifted an elephant. Not like a big elephant, but I lifted an elephant. How? Well, not an actual elephant, but the weight of an elephant, if that makes sense. I googled how much an elephant weighs, and it said like 4,000 to 14,000 pounds. And I kept track on how much I lifted yesterday, and it was about 4,000 in total. Like, because I just wanted to know like how many pounds do I lift like throughout the day as I'm working out. And then I just today I googled how many pounds an elephants are, and yeah, I lifted an elephant yesterday. Not like all that weight in one chunk, it was periodically, if that makes sense. Not lifting 4,000 pounds at once. Yet. Oh shoot. I'm hanging off the edge, bro, and I don't think I have the mats to get back up there. I'm scared. Oh no, I'm good, I think. Yeah, okay. Living life on the edge. You know, it's really not that hard to lift an elephant. When I found that out, I was like, man, now I want to lift too. I want to lift too. The way I see it is eventually if you can lift about 100 like elephants worth a day, eventually you'll just be able to like lift an actual elephant. Shoot. And with mammoths, you know, supposedly coming back in 2025, we need to start beefing up. I'm gonna start eating some mammoth, get that protein in. So then I can lift more mammoths. Shoot. It always gets back down to the mammoths. We always get back down to the eating mammoth route. I don't even know how, but every topic that we talk about always ends up in me wanting to eat a mammoth. Just thinking about like what would a mammoth taste like? I think it'd be like really good. Let's listen to some news together.
In every
No, that's an ad. I want news, so then I don't get copyrighted.
Trump, at the very last minute, hit the big red pause button on tariffs against Canada and Mexico. There were two kinds of reactions.
Trump got rolled by both of these countries, and no one, least of all Trump, seems to have realized it.
Canada tried to hold out and just ended up begging for mercy. So far, every country that's been threatened bent the knee, and we haven't conceded a thing.
But what both angles miss is the underlying truth, which is this isn't over.
Donald Trump hasn't said anything is permanently gone.
Take Canada as an example. Yes, Donald Trump said this country is finally taking its border seriously. Yes, he nodded to its big billion-dollar concession, the appointment of a fentanyl czar, listing drug cartels as terrorists. He's very pleased. But then, at the very end, the tariffs announced on Saturday will be paused for a 30-day period to see whether or not a final economic deal with Canada can be structured. At which point, it's like, wait, economic deal? What are we talking about? Wasn't this about fentanyl and illegal immigration and border security? But now the tariffs are explicitly contingent on more than just that.
So in 30 days, is he going to ask for more concessions on the economy? What happens in
What's
30
Sebastian's three favorite words? You know it. Let's see what happens, right?
Then you remember, oh right, there are still all of Trump's other grievances.
We have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We don't need them to make our cars. We don't need them to give us lumber.
We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year. And for what?
They rely on our military. I'd like to see Canada become our 51st state.
And that leaves us with the task of trying to disentangle each thing from the other. Because how does a country like Canada negotiate when the goalposts keep moving? And what does Trump even really want?
Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in.
Trump has repeated this claim that Canada bears some responsibility for the drug overdose epidemic that in any given year kills somewhere around 100,000 people in the U.S. Most of those deaths, 70%, are from fentanyl. But what Trump leaves out is that U.S. Customs agents last year only seized about 50 pounds of fentanyl at its northern border with Canada.
They're emphasizing how little they've seized at the border of Canada, but if the issue is as big as it actually is being made to be, it's not about the fentanyl that's being seized. It's about the stuff that's actually getting through. You can keep track on how much you're seizing, but you can't keep track on how much has actually gone through. And if we're lacking as much border security as they're claiming, and things are just going in and out willy-nilly, then that 50 pounds is probably maybe more than that. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert in this region or field of study or anything like that. I'm just trying to put a little bit of my own common sense logic behind it. Doesn't mean it's factual or anything, but I think it's not about what they've seized and what they stopped from getting in. It's about what they haven't stopped from letting in. And if we're letting in more than what we're supposed to, then how are we supposed to know how much we're letting in? It's one of those paradoxical things. But yeah, let's keep listening to this.
Compare that to the more than 20,000 pounds, almost 10,000 kilos of fentanyl seized at the southern border with Mexico.
Canada is responsible for less than 1% of the illegal fentanyl that is going into the United States. And
see, that's a wild claim, saying that we're responsible for less than 1% or whatever they just said. That's an irresponsible claim in my opinion, because the fact that you're only basing that off of the amount that you're seizing. You can't keep track of numbers that you don't know. You don't know the numbers that actually make it across the border and affect Americans. You know what I mean? That's the issue right there, is we don't know how much is actually getting through. We think, that it's less than 1%, but, if Trump's saying this, then maybe that's not the case, and maybe we have to look into our own border security. Which is a good thing that we're actually doing that, and he's pushing us to do this. But let's continue. I'm still open ears and open-minded.
For less than 1% of the illegal migration into the United States.
Even the Canadian government seemed to question if Trump's tariffs on Canada were ever actually about border security at all.
It also is perhaps just an excuse, frankly, for the president to move forward with the tariffs. And if that's the case, then there is no satisfying the president.
And that's obviously a concern we have.
But what a focus on fentanyl does allow, when the claim is about how it is endangering lives, threatening the fabric of society, about transnational cartels and a public health crisis and a national emergency, this is what gives Trump a free hand to impose tariffs at all, in spite of a decades-old series of free trade agreements promising to do no such thing.
You need an emergency that you can sell to the American people. A fentanyl crisis does that. It's simply been a means to an objective, which is gaining tariff authority.
So, what kind of economic deal might Trump be looking for? Well, there are two broad possibilities that get the most attention. Here's the first.
Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore.
This trade deficit is a nod to the trade imbalance between Canada and the U.S.
The United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
Trump is unhappy that Americans spend more on Canadian goods and services than Canadians spend on American goods and services. He believes this amounts to the U.S. subsidizing
Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year.
By the tune of about $200 billion a year.
kind of heavy crude oil America needs? You guessed it. The U.S. buys the majority, around 60% of the crude oil it imports from Canada.
That policy is not putting Americans to work. It's putting Americans to work.
Putting Americans to work because there is an entire industry built around the importation of heavy Canadian crude and all the American workers who process and refine that oil into useful, salable things. Gasoline, diesel, jet fuel. The U.S. could retool all of its refineries and completely reinvent its supply chain. That's expensive.
Oil and gas is probably one of the best examples of how something that is responsible for a huge trade deficit is actually creating tens of thousands of jobs in the U.S.
There are lots of other examples too. Car manufacturing is spread out all across North America, even if a car itself might have its final assembly in the U.S. Steel and aluminum, Canada's a top supplier, and the U.S. then uses those materials in construction, aerospace, you name it.
While we might succeed in expanding production of some of the things that we would have imported, it's going to come at the expense of some of the things that we would have naturally been good at making. So I think it falls apart quite quickly.
There's one other thing I think is worth mentioning that could go some distance in explaining Trump's grand plan. And it was a moment during his inauguration, which maybe you
Are they teaming?
wondered, what was that all?
We will restore the
Bro, they're teaming.
of a great president.
But no, they're fighting now.
McKinley to
Never mind.
McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs.
Renaming North America's highest mountain from Denali to McKinley takes on new significance when you understand that McKinley was the last Republican president to resist the idea of income tax.
We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913.
Income tax, you know what it is, but let me just add, it is intended to force millionaires and billionaires to pay more to the government than everyone else. Trump wants to cut income taxes.
We will end all taxes on overtime.
Are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history.
It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before.
And the connection to tariffs, that's how you start to pay for those cuts.
Donald Trump, when he campaigned, he made a lot of big promises to Americans that are going to cost a lot of money. He sees tariffs as a way to fund some of his domestic agenda.
You know, historically, there was a period where tariffs were actually the single biggest source of revenue for the U.S. government. Trump is a fan of this period.
You know, the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking.
But one modern-day obstacle is the simple fact that there are only so many things you can slap tariffs on. Total U.S. imports in 2023 stood at $3.83 trillion. So, you could start taxing those goods. But taxable income in the U.S., that's well in excess of $20 trillion each year. And the government's take on that, both individual and corporate income taxes combined, they account for almost $3 trillion in federal revenue every year. That's a huge line item. Tariffs, at least in their current form, don't come anywhere close to matching that.
This is significant revenues, but it's nowhere near enough for the whole wish list of things that Trump has pledged to do with it.
So, where does this leave us? A bit where we started, actually. Because none of this is real until Trump makes it real. We haven't even talked about the complete renegotiation of free trade in North America. The biggest deal Trump signed in his first term that he now also seems unhappy with.
Canada's been very tough on oil, on energy. They don't allow our farm products in, essentially. They don't allow a lot of things in, and we allow everything to come in. It's been a one-way street.
But no matter what Trump might do next, we can't speak to what Trump has already done. And that is to reshape America's closest alliances, to make clear to countries like Canada and Mexico that they should take American priorities seriously, or else risk serious economic harm, a hit to the relationship that the U.S. can tolerate far longer than they do.
There he is, electromagnetic
tariff pause expires. And while a costly trade war was avoided for now, Canada's economy is still exposed to the looming tariff deadline. Federal officials say there's still lots of work to do.
The objective yesterday was not to have any tariffs. Today, no tariffs, and tomorrow, no tariffs.
Absolutely, we need to make sure that we continue to hold together to keep this very strong Canadian unity that we're showing all together right now.
Obviously, the 30-day period is better than what it could otherwise have been. But I do think there are opportunities for conversations to enable us to actually move away from the conversation about tariffs.
Francois Philippe Champagne is the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, and he joins me now from Washington. Minister, good to speak with you. Thanks for the time today. Very much. Thank you, David. So it's a 30-day reprieve. What are the next 30 days going to look like? Are we in this new revolving cycle of tariff diplomacy?
Well, we're doubling down our efforts. I mean, as you can see, I'm here today with, I think Minister Wilkinson is in town as well to talk with the folks of the energy sector. I'm meeting with the auto sector executives, a number of them. I think, and we're going to meet with also the military establishment with Minister Blair, the defense industry. I think what you've seen is an electroshock in the system. I've seen a number of U.S. businesses wanting to reach out. I mean, we've always said, on the Canadian side, we understood well that there cannot be tariffs without impact, there cannot be tariffs without consequences, and there cannot be tariffs without additional costs for U.S. consumers. And now I see the U.S. business and even governors. Governor of Kentucky yesterday was basically saying exactly what we said. If you put tariffs, its job in the United States are going to be affected. They're going to become less competitive. It's going to affect the affordability agenda. So we're here in Washington to say, listen, Canada is not a problem. Canada is part of the solution. You want to be more competitive. You want to be more resilient. You want to bring life affordable for U.S. consumers. Work with us. Tariff is not the answer. Dialogue is the way forward. And that's the message we're bringing to Washington today and during the week.
Well, you know, you say Canada is not a problem, but tariffs are a problem, and uncertainty is a problem, especially when it comes to investment on this side of the border. So, I mean, what effect is this going to have? We're already hearing from business groups that may be delaying decisions on whether or not to invest in Canada or in the United States until this is resolved, and it just may never get resolved to everyone's satisfaction. So what effect does that have on investment inside the Canadian economy?
Well, listen, we won't tell each other's story. Obviously, this has an impact on consumer confidence and on businesses, and that's why we want to... I would say to you, David, it's not just on one side of the border. Today I'm meeting with U.S. executives which are very nervous about the impact on their supply chain. It seems that the message is getting across because the robust response that was provided by Canada is really sending shockwaves. I can see because we're meeting with U.S. folks today and they're very keen to meet because they say, you know what, we've seen what that could do to our supply chain and the impact it can have also on the U.S. side. So to your point, our work is going to be to make sure that we have a dialogue, we restore confidence, that we work with our American friends, telling them that the best way that we can be more competitive, that we can have better price for consumers is for us to work together. And you know what? It might be a difficult time, but we're going to get through it. I think Canadians have never been more united. I spoke to business leaders across the nation, and they said, you know what, Minister, we're all going to work together. We need a real free trade agreement between Canadian provinces, a real Canadian free trade. We need to look at Canada First procurement policy. It's about time. And then we give preferential treatment to Canadian companies at the federal, provincial, municipal level, and even businesses. And at the same time, that we look at infrastructure, that we look at our energy to make sure that we diversify our industry, diversify our exports, but also thinking about diversifying our imports. Right. You know, we're the largest customer in the United States, and therefore the message today is going to be loud to the American folks and saying, you know what, let's keep the dialogue because tariffs would be hurting on both sides of the border.
But at some point, Minister, the threat of a tariff starts to function as a tariff. And if someone wants to make a long-term investment decision and they're deciding which side of the border, they're going to be on the bigger, larger, wealthier side of the border to make sure they are protected against any future tariffs. So how do you push back against that impulse over the next number of years of the Trump presidency?
there's the rhetoric and there's the reality on the ground. Many things that we said, when we've heard that, for example, they would not need us.
I made a
with
friend.
Or some other industry or energy. The reality is different, I've been repeating. That's why
I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna make it.
If you're saying no to Canada, be very worried who you're going to say yes to when it comes to critical minerals for the U.S. defense industry.
He's gonna look behind him and see me pass away. So I'm not gonna make it.
Taking, for example, on semiconductors, 80% of all the semiconductors manufactured in the United States are packaged and tested in Canada. Those are real facts. So whilst people may have, a rhetoric around supply chain, the reality on the ground when I speak to you is that nothing that can be done in the short term, because these supply chains exist for a reason. They make us more efficient.
I'm gonna die.
And they benefit consumer on both sides of the border. So I agree with you that we need to be there and fight back that narrative.
He died too.
On the ground and doubling down our efforts. There's no doubt about
No,
that.
he didn't die.
It's not gonna be easy, but I would say so far,
I'm spectating him now.
and I've seen a change of tone since I was there last week, because now it's American folks who said, you know what, these tariff things, could really hurt our industries and our states. And we're going to be working also with governors who have been very vocal since yesterday.
Minister, you talked about making Canada more open internally to free trade, and interprovincial trade barriers have been on the agenda for just about every Premier's Conference since I started covering Premier's Conferences 20, 25 years ago. And they never really make big progress on it. They talk about it, and they never really lower it in a meaningful material way to drive the economy like people have been talking about in the past month or so. So what can you do as a federal government to encourage the provincial governments to flatten those trade barriers and get
Now, there's like the world after over the weekend and yesterday has really changed the rules of the game. We're always going to be working with our American friends, but I would say that there's new rules, and what happened will remind in the mind of
we have a reporting now, a confidential memo sent by Finance Minister Dominic Lamont to his fellow ministers asking them to draw a list of ideas that we can employ in the spring budget to fight back against U.S. protection in response to the moment that we're in. It was sent to cabinet ministers, so I'm presuming you have seen this. When you talk about this C.E. Howe moment post-World War II, is that what this memo tries to set the stage for? What are your recommendations to the finance minister on what should be in the budget? Should you be able to table one in terms of response?
They're gonna get it landing before me.
Well, I'm not going to think about what's going on in cabinet, but what I can say, we have been talking, Minister Blau and I,
Not really vibing Fortnite.
Canada First procurement policy, the free trade within provinces. My colleague Minister Annan has been working hard on that. This is a whole of Canada moment.
Purple tack as ground loot. Oh my gosh.
Diversification is one of our industries. We have talented people. We have very strong industries of cars, the natural resources, the
Philippe Champagne, Minister of Industry. Thank you for your time, please.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Alaska number 3 for Canada as the 25% tariffs that were poised to come into effect today were postponed, but it's only temporary. Canada's figures expressed cautious relief at that 30-day delay.
We've averted a disaster, at least for now. Make no mistake, Canada and Ontario continue to stare down the threat of tariffs.
There's a sense of optimistic relief, but no change in posture in terms of being ready for what's next.
When you have to leave everything behind, the real cost of making a new start. A very first passport.
We are financially green.
Welcome to Canada, the immigrant experience. Everywhere you get CBC News.
Alberta Premier Daniel Smith joins me now. Premier Smith, welcome back to the show.
Hi, David.
So President Trump has backed down and held off on the tariffs until the 4th of March. Do you think it lasts until the 5th of March?
I sure hope so. I mean, I think it'll all depend on us. I was pleased to see that there were some significant improvements in the package that the Prime Minister put on the table. 10,000 personnel dedicated to the border, $200 million in spending, what they're calling the essentials are, and cross-border collaboration. And I think that's what the Americans wanted to see. I know there's a lot of issues kind of intermingling, but I think we have to think about these as separate negotiations. Right now, these tariffs were present in all about fentanyl, and we'll get to a renegotiation of the customs deal in pretty short order, but we've got to demonstrate developments yesterday.
Well, the 10,000 personnel, as I understand it, Premier, is not new personnel. It's sort of stating what is there, and when what was announced in the $1 billion border plan, the real new things seem to be the fentanyl czar and the willingness to list Mexican cartels as terrorist organizations. I know you advocated for a border
Bro, this bed got in my way. Oh, I got him with the trap? Noise.
Trump had raised his concerns about the border. Both Canada and Mexico responded. Said, yes, Mr. President, we're willing to work with you. standard the Americans are looking for? Is it just this commitment that we are taking it seriously, we're putting these resources there, we will work on this and work on the manufacturing of it in Canada, or is it reducing the 43 pounds cross-border shipping? What's your sense of your
And I'd love to see TBC reporting on this, but just remember, TD Bank just got a $3 billion fine for having their branches engage in money laundering.
Right.
We just watched in British Columbia them go through the issue of their casinos being used for laundering of money and then being put into the housing market. I suspect the same thing's happening to Toronto. We're receiving stories about how fentanyl is being stuffed into stolen cars that are poured out of Montreal. And then we're also know that we've got a serious problem of drugs coming across the border in packages. So I would say it's all of the above. Just because we haven't caught it, maybe that's a demonstration of why the Americans are so frustrated. They know that the drugs are getting into their country somehow. They see this as evidence, and yet we don't monitor every container that comes through our ports. We don't monitor every truck of drugs that goes across our borders. We don't monitor every package that goes into the United States. Those are the things that I think they want to see serious effort on. Those are the issues. A little bit different in Canada than it is in Mexico, but it's still very serious. Manifests a different way and requires different solutions. We're glad that we now have a central czar who's going to be looking at all of those and hopefully coordinating with provinces about how we'll be able to shut that tap off.
Right, so beyond just attempting to easily dance with the president, do you think the plan that is now on the table is enough to get a handle on the problem in Canada, from the money laundering to the production? And because a lot of Canadians in your province, British Columbia, Saskatchewan in particular, are dying because of this. Are you comforted with what you see as the total plan now that there's serious effort to deal with it domestically?
Well, we've been fighting this in my province for 6 years, and it's hard. I mean, we just finally turned the corner this past year. We saw 38 deaths because of some of the things that we're doing. That we do have dedicated teams associated with this. We are shutting down labs and drug houses, and we are focusing on a recovery-oriented system of care. I can tell you, having safe supply jurisdictions that sends a signal to criminal organizations that it's free, so it's a free zone to be able to operate has not been helpful. And sending the message to criminals that they're going to have a revolving door, we're not going to keep them behind bars, has not been helpful. So we can only do so much, but I think it calls back to the federal government to stop those experiments, what they call safe supply, and to stop the revolving door and the catch and release that all of the prisoners have been complaining about bitterly for the last number of years. So not quite there yet, but hopefully this is a new result and we'll be able to get there.
Okay, Freeman, I just have one last question before I let you go, because I know you're out of time. Donald Trump's been president a little over 2 weeks. It's been a lot. Colombia, Canada, Mexico, the European Union, South Africa, and even the United Kingdom have either been directly threatened with tariffs or just discussed as being threatened with tariffs. Are you worried this is just what it's going to be like for 4 years?
I don't know what it's going to be like. I know that there's ways that we can make that worse. It would be far better to return to the table and identify the issues that are causing irritation and deal with them in a meaningful way. And I'm hopeful. I mean, I think the U.S. president, quite frankly, has bigger fish to fry. He's got a big battle that he's doing with Russia, with China, and if we can demonstrate that we're supportive of the efforts to continue to make the American economy strong, we're net positive, as opposed to having issues that are on the table that he sees as a net negative. I think we can win that diplomatic fight. It's not done yet, and I think this is our first test to see how serious we are about collaborating on fentanyl. And if we can have a win there for both of our countries, then I think we move on to the next one. And maybe that's just how it's going to be for the next 4 years. But I think we've got to start somewhere.
I think we should all use a little break.
Oh, I'm so cooked.